Hi guys, today we are going to be talking about sausage and squash. Here is why I am so excited about our squash topic specifically, because this is squash season. And one thing that some people may not know is that some of the squashes you can actually eat the skin on. Let me start with an example of what I grew up with, and that was the acorn squash. That skin is a little tougher, and so you do not typically eat that. Ironically, you can actually eat all the skin of all the squash, but it's a little bit more tougher on some, and so just not that palatable like the acorn squash and the spaghetti squash, the butternut squash. We don't really eat those. We peel those first. So there's other kinds that I am loving though. The kibosh squash, they sometimes call this a green pumpkin, and that well is so deep, so instead of cutting that into a moon, sometimes instead of half, we cut those into little moons, and you can do that with any of these. There's also cute little buttercup squash that you can use. Those, I found those at my local Dillon's. And honey nut squash. They're tiny little squash, little pint-sized squash. And then the delicata squash, and those again are great, and you can do whatever you want with them. Typically with squash, cut them in half, take the seeds out, and then what I do, like this is an acorn squash. Typically, once you've cleaned it, I just spray it with a little bit of olive oil. I love my glass sprayer for the olive oil. And then you just sprinkle it with just a little salt, a little pepper, and a little cinnamon. That's all I do for the squash. And most of the time we cook our squash at 400 for like 30 minutes. If you have a big roasting pan like this, it may be 40 minutes. So it depends on if you want a little softer or a little firmer, but around the 20 to 40 minute mark. So that is typical for any of the squash. Now, what do you do with it? I have come up with a recipe that I love so much, and I just start with some turkey sausage. Look for the ingredients to make sure it's a good turkey sausage. And I saute that with onions and carrots. No need to add oil. There's plenty of fat in the pan, and a little bit of chopped garlic, and you brown it up and crumble it up. And then I add a fresh chopped apple and a couple of big handfuls of fresh kale. Soften that down, and then I end it with some nice white beans. So now you have a wonderful filling for your squash. So on those squashes that have wells in them, you can just take your filling and just fill those up, and it makes a perfect dinner. I think your family will love it, young and old. It's so flavorful. So you just fill the well with your ingredients, and then I add a little bit of goat cheese on top and a few little sprinkles of walnuts. Isn't that beautiful? Perfect for fall. Really, it's perfect any time of year, but I especially love it during the fall. So if you try this, let me know. And if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, have a good day, guys. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.